Hey everyone, welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. This is Thomas, and today we are taking a look at the Winchester American Enfield Model 1917. This thing it's a monster of a rifle, World War I American battle rifle, actually the most common World War I American battle rifle, contrary to popular belief. A lot of people like to give the title of World War I American battle rifle to the Springfield 03 or Springfield 03. Fact of the matter is, those were made in numbers around 60,000 before the war actually began. And by the time the war ended, there was over 2 million of these in the field, considerably over 2 million. There's a kind of a long list of reasons why this came to be. Initially, the British contracted the US to make what was called the Pattern 14 Enfield. Now it would look just like this gun, except in 303 British. The bayonet that I actually have for this was originally, we'll take a look at it closer when we get on the table, but originally this bayonet was a P14 bayonet, the American British Enfield, but the label on it was scratched out and restamped for the US. And that's kind of how it went down, was after it became clear that the US was going to become involved in World War I, they started holding these back and rechambering them for 30-06 for American use, because it was faster and easier to do that than it would have been to retool all the various arsenals to start making Springfield 03s. So Springfield 03, your more iconic, more recognized World War I American battle rifle, but in terms of actual use, these outnumbered the 03s by about 75% in the actual field of battle. It's actually a really interesting story about a Sergeant Alvin York, how he won his Medal of Honor. And if you watch the movie, he's using an 03. There is a movie called Sergeant York that is the story of how he won his Medal of Honor. And it's a crazy story. We're only going to kind of cover the basic points of it, but in essence, he single-handedly essentially besieged a German machine gun position, personally immobilizing the position, killing, I believe it was 25 Germans, and taking like 132 or 138 hostage personally. Hunted them as if they were turkeys, shooting the guy at the back first and then working his way up the line until he shot the guy nearest to him last. He was in fact using one of these. If you look at the actual records of the unit that he served in, which I don't remember what it is, I'll post it right here. But the unit that he served in was issued these, and he also carried a 1911. In the movie, he is carrying a Springfield 03 and a Luger, oddly enough. But this gun it's monstrous. It has the Enfield style bolt, where it's cock on close rather than cock on open, and it is fed by these charger clips. You may have noticed I had a bit of a struggle with it. These are original World War I clips, and they have a little tag on the end, on both ends, that's kind of hard to break through initially, so you just mount it to the top of the gun and you push them through. And with that tab, it can be a little bit rough. So there are some that don't have the tab, and this gun, it actually does hold a 6th shot, but they wanted it to be universal with the 5-shot charger clips. So, ready to fire. Go ahead and take another 5. This thing is a tack driver if you know where it hits, and knowing where it hits, this gun hits high within 100 yards. Pretty high, actually. I've got the target about 60 yards out right now, just kind of for ease of use and the fact that we've got like a maximum of 80 yards out where we are presently. But this is a beautiful piece. Let's go ahead and take it to the table and look at some things closer. So we're taking a closer look at this guy. Markings mostly got US model of 1917 Winchester. Early Winchesters only had a W instead of the full name. So this gun is dated right here 2-18, so February of 1918. And then you got the Winchester W, so this is a Winchester barrel as well as Winchester receiver. All original furniture, everything on this gun is as it should be. Safety is right here. That's safe, that's fire. Bolt extraction, I'm pretty sure can only be done, yeah, it can only be done if the safety is off. So you just pull the bolt back. It's freezing out here, so the bolt's sticking a little. Pull this piece out, then the bolt comes out. Then you can clean the barrel, clean the bolt, of which I'm gonna need to when we're done with this. You gotta depress this, the ramp here, when you're reinserting the bolt. So yeah, it's a beautiful piece. As I said, we've got the original bayonet, and you can see here, these are British markings underneath that scratched out surface there. But it has been scratched out and then re-stamped with US. 1913 apparently is when this bayonet was originally made, and it is a Remington-made bayonet, but then it was re-stamped 5/17, so that would be January, February, March, April, May 1917. A lot of coolness to be had here. We got the original strap. I will never use this strap. I do not want to break it. And it's starting to snow pretty hard, so let's go ahead and pick this back up and do the outro. A couple more notes about this rifle. They are often referred to simply as the Eddystone, or the Eddystone Model 1917. The reason for that is of the like 2,100,000 and some odd thousand that were made, well over 1 million of those were made by Eddystone, over 50% of the total manufacture. And then somewhere around 500, like 520, 530, maybe even a little more, were were made by Remington. Eddystone is a subsidiary of Remington, but it was kind of its own company at the time. And then the remainder, about 466,000, were made by Winchester. They are the least common, is the Winchester, but they're built like a rock, so much so that there's actually dog sled patrols in Denmark, in subarctic areas, that to this day use original Model 1917s because they function very well in the cold if lubricated properly, and they're a rock. I actually took a deer 2 years ago with this gun at well over 300 yards with just the iron sights. It's easy to shoot. You got a peep sight on the back, blade in the front, and a volley sight as well. So you would depress this tab here to move your volley sight in accordance with what your commanding officer told you your range was. So another thing, there's kind of some cool marks on here, like some old cartouches stamped into the stock. There's just a lot of awesomeness with this rifle. It is a very cool piece. There's a little compartment in the back. I believe this is where you would keep your cleaning gear for the most part, or just a note if you wanted to. A lot of soldiers tended to do things like that, like stick like a letter in the butt of the rifle. So let's go ahead and take a last clip through this gun. I have to turn the safety off to do that initially. Put that back in my pocket. All right, not doing the bayonet this time. With the bayonet, this gun is absurdly long. And reasoning for that was, in World War I, it was not uncommon to encounter mounted cavalry with swords, especially early in the war. So you wanted a long bayonet to be able to reach out and touch them. But let's go ahead and give this a last 5 now. Alright guys, as I said, this thing is a tack driver. It's actually almost hard to miss once you get the range. At the very beginning of the video I missed my first 2 shots, but again, that's kind of a relearning the range on the gun. Well, we had to make a random cut in the video. My phone died. It's very cold up here, and that just annihilates battery. We are right at the end stretch though. I was just about to go over the value of these. Like just a couple months before I bought this gun, they were selling for $600–700. They went up to about $1,100 in the 2 months it took me to finally get up the gumption to buy the gun. And I bought it for about $1,100, and most recently that I checked, they're selling for more like $1,800 to $2,000 presently for this exact same thing. So they are an investment piece, they're a beautiful piece, and they are nigh indestructible. So Next week, we're probably going to take a look at our first pistol from World War II. Got a Walther P38 I want to take a look at. So keep your eyes open for that. That'll be coming soon. Meantime, this has been Thomas with Great Northwest Weaponry, and I'll see you next time.